I love a unique garden idea, and when Mike Stevenson emailed me and asked me to come and see his garden, he promised me that it was one of the most unique setups I've ever seen. He has a vegetable garden that you just won't believe. The uniqueness starts right here. Mike, thanks so much for having us out today, and I want to start right here with the way that you've sort of mulched your paths.
Yeah,
Carpet.
I have. I'm going for basically complete sterileness of all weeds. If you start with no weeds, you end up with no weeds, and you can actually just water your garden and not just your weeds.
So tell me what you've got going on here along the side of the house.
I've got a myriad of various things. I've got a butternut squash here, lettuce, that's all kale.
So kind of cool season crops in here right now.
Yeah, cool season. The kale will actually hold out. I actually had kale from last year that made it all the way through the freeze of this year.
You do kind of crop rotate.
Oh yeah.
And once the cool season stuff is done, you'll be able to bring some warm season in and get double duty out of these beds.
Yep, it'll produce all year long for me.
Obviously they're raised beds.
Correct.
And you've got them covered with landscape fabric, erosion fabric.
Erosion control fabric. It helps in plant designation for whenever you're starting from actual seed.
Right.
You can mark it. You have just your isolated little spots to water out of. The soil doesn't erode away. The rain doesn't come down and actually impact the soil, so you have better root expansion.
You've mentioned water a couple of times. You have a pretty unique setup for your catching your rainwater and all of that.
Correct.
Talk to me a little bit about what you've got going on over here.
I've got a little rain barrel set up
going,
so where this actually collects this whole side. I have it to where I can do it completely off-grid. I really like to do off-grid gardening, but I mean, this is just gravity fed, and I have enough hose to water this entire backyard here. Water costs me absolutely nothing, because it would actually be cost prohibitive to spend a bunch of money on water, and then you end up just, I mean, we're doing this thing to actually save money.
Right.
Grow produce, grow something, and just do it for as cheap as you possibly can, and yield as much as you possibly can.
And speaking of saving money, you actually start all of your own plants from seed.
Correct.
And you have a really unique way that you do that I want to go look at.
Okay, perfect.
So even your tree house is built of found and collected materials, and you have a really unique grow light set up in here.
I've got a couple different types of grow lights. These are actually agro flora bulbs, and then I've got some LED bulbs as well. But as you can see on the south, east, and west sides, I've got it blown out in double stack windows. So I get to start everything in here mid-February, around like February 14th, 15th, I'll start everything. Then I'll kind of go in here for about a month, maybe 5 weeks, and then I can transition to the outdoor greenhouse.
To the other greenhouse. And nothing here is fancy or complicated.
It's all free. Actually, all these plastic grates and actually these bread racks I pulled out of a dumpster.
Okay.
No shame in the game when you're just scavenging building.
Right. What about your light fixtures and things?
These lights actually came out of some Pepsi signs that were thrown away. I harvested the lights out of those.
So on the one side that has no windows, then you reflect the light back with the mirrors.
Correct. So there's no light loss, and it's all just going to come right back. And I can actually, last year I started 720 plants, which I found to be too many. It was actually hard to get rid of that many, but I had this entire thing blown out to where I had every light engaged, but it definitely refracts light back off. And once again, they were free mirrors.
Yeah.
So I figured they
needed
to go in my free treehouse with the free mirrors. I start everything in these trays of 72. And so once they get just a little bit bigger than that, you can actually transition to the red solo cups. The solo cups I'm using for a number of different reasons. One, I first started and they were just a bunch of cups laying around, and so they were that free thing starting over.
Right.
But then it started at, you can just drill a couple little holes in the bottom of the cup. So I love the cups. They're recyclable. One, they're really cheap. They do have the conical shape to where you can just pull it out. It comes out nice and easy. The cups are reusable. And
as long as they don't crack or break, you can just keep on.
And when they do, you just throw them in the recycle bin and
away they go.
And away they go.
So now we're over here in your tomato patch,
correct,
essentially. How many varieties?
I'm doing 10 different types of varieties: orange, yellow, red, black, blue, tomatillo, and also a kind of like a neon green. I do this quad cage setup to where I don't have to go buy cages because it's all just found material that I have. But
Okay. So all of your metal stakes and all of this wiring and everything is just found
all free
objects.
off Craigslist.
Okay.
The beauty of Craigslist
Beauty
here.
of Craigslist.
But these quad cages, I actually started this kind of design last year because I didn't have any cages and needed to come up with something. But last year I actually overplanted it. So in each cluster, each plant has 3 or 4
seedlings
in each position. So each cage.
So it's not just one plant in each hole, it's several.
And you basically want to grow enough that if the bugs are going to get it, ants are going to get it, which it's going to happen, and because I'm not using any sort of pesticides.
Okay.
You just have to grow enough that even when you lose something,
part of it, you've got enough left for yourself.
You still have enough left to go. But last year, I actually overgrew it to where I had done 5 in each one, and the center one kind of grew up, and it ended up choking out everything else. And so I've gone to a less is more sort of approach on this thing.
Okay.
And so now I can actually yield this entire thing, and these cages will just be completely blown out. You can
With
service
plants,
it from any way.
Sure.
And I've actually, it's all stacked stone underneath.
A little bit of a path in between so that you can get into harvest.
You can kind of do whatever you want. You can reach it from every angle. And so you're not going to impact any of the soil, but each one of these is just going to be a beautiful myriad of color. So I've gone to where I've got the cilantro, Emily basil, Thai basil, blue spice basil, parsley, elephant dill.
So you're really growing everything here, from fruits and berries to vegetables and herbs.
I'm willing to try anything.
So all of your seeds that you start come from basically one source?
Yes, it's rareseeds.com. It's Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. It's all certified organic, non-GMO, all heirloom. So if I can collect my seeds, I can reharvest for the next year. But this is the 4th year I bought from Baker Creek. Really been pleased with the turnout on it all. I'd say I have about 100% success rate from germination to actually growing.
So you obviously compost your grass clippings and what else?
I bag and collect the entire yard. So I got 1 acre here. You can see this is a good mix of brown and green, which is really the important part of composting.
Sure.
And it's all about just making sure that your microbes stay nice and happy. Your aerobic and anaerobic microbes. Aerobic meaning with air, anaerobic meaning without air. But as well as that, I take all the drop plants at the end of the year, end up coming in here. Generally,
sure. Are these dug out? This is not a very big compost pile for as much garden as you have.
Yeah, it's about 3 feet deep right here, and this thing will end up being stacked up 5-6 feet. But throughout the year, I will look on Craigslist once again on the free section, and I'll go get truckloads of sand.
Okay.
Sand is a great additive for this, and then between just stuff coming out of the garden, stuff being collected out of the yard, sand, and then what other matter I find. I also use all of my burnings out of my big fire pit.
Okay.
Because it's pure carbon going right back in it.
So anything that is organic matter.
That's non-protein.
Right, that's non-protein.
I just mowed a couple days ago, and might be able to dig up a little bit of steam coming off it. You can definitely start to smell it a little bit, but yeah, there's your little bit of steam that's it's starting to happen.
So now we're looking at your 27-foot swimming pool that, of course, you got for free, but it's not really a swimming pool. And
it's an above-ground pond.
An above-ground pond, which is a very important part of the garden.
Yes. I had also started my garden, and it really wasn't doing well because city water isn't that great for my plants. So I ended up starting a water catchment system, as you can see off this house and off my other house and my other building, collecting all my rainwater, and to where I can actually, in the course of about 12 hours, I can collect about 8,000 gallons of water, which in this pool comes out to about 20 inches.
Okay.
So in order to have water in here and not have it be a mosquito cesspool, I had to put fish in there. And in order to have fish in there, you had to have water flowing. And then as part of the whole thing of purification, I built this 4-tier biomechanical filter.
Right, so this has plants in it, iris and cattails and other things.
It's got cattails and iris, and it's got 4 different types of lilies. And I put it in here, and I started off by putting 87 fish in here. And the way I surmised that was on the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Association website. They said for a 1 square acre, you're supposed to they would put in 2,000 fish if they were stocking it. Well, this is 0.029386 acres. And so by the cross multiplication on that, comes out to, I had to put 87 fish in here.
Okay.
I put the 87 fish in here of the varieties of bass, bluegill, sunfish, catfish, and crappie. And I actually had to put the boat in here. As a result, I needed an adjustable level planter. And so in order for the plants to maintain the proper depth of what they need,
Right.
be it like the 6, 12, and 18 inches,
Yeah.
I actually buried them in, I put them in the swimming pool, and I cut big holes in the side of the pool. So it not only acts as an adjustable level planter, but it also acts as like a propagation thing for the small fish, so they have a place to hide. So the bigger fish just aren't going to eat the small ones.
Okay.
And it's made this whole ecosystem that I don't have to do anything to. It completely replenishes itself. It's all gravity fed back into here with all the rainwater. And it just sits here, and this is my aquaponic nutrient setup for the garden, because I don't use any other fertilizer other than my compost. And this is the rest of it.
Right. So in addition to your rain barrels that you can water with, then this has hoses hooked to it.
Correct.
And you irrigate the garden
So
with this nutrient-rich water that, because of the fish and the plant life,
Right, and so
acts almost as a liquid compost.
Yeah, you have to have the turnover, and so this green hose here goes to the bottom, which is pulling all the super nitrogen-rich water. And I can actually just stick this hose right here in the top. It starts a siphon.
But how much water do you really capture here?
In one night, I can actually collect about 8,000 gallons.
That's amazing.
My total capacity is just over 25,000 gallons.
Including the pool, a couple of catch tanks, and then your barrels that you collect off the house.
Right.
So if we equate that to city water prices, we're probably talking about $4,000 or $5,000 water bill if you were to use all of that. All of that.
Peak of the
garden.
season, once I get to July, August, I run through 250, 300 gallons a day.
A day. So
that's about 9,000 gallons a month is what I'd be using.
That's amazing.
$400 or $500 a month alone in water, which in itself would be completely cost prohibitive for me to be able to do any of this.
Right.
And I wouldn't if it
Exactly.
weren't all for nothing.
So in addition to all of your herbs and vegetables and everything else that water supports, you also have a small fruit orchard, a little bed that's kind of a small fruit orchard, and including these little cherries that are actually setting here.
Got this little cherry tree, believe it or not, will probably crank out 200-300 cherries this year.
Right.
It's
only 5 or 6 feet tall.
It's the second year that I've had it.
Well, as I said, this setup is certainly one of the most unique I've ever seen, and we really appreciate you having us out and giving this fantastic tour of your garden.
Well, I appreciate it, Troy.
Thank you.
Thank you much.